Welcome to Unspoken Lives, the podcast that uncovers the powerful, untold stories of everyday people. The real stories you don't always hear, but ones that deserve to be told. I'm your host, Kelsey Billingsley. In each episode, we'll explore journeys of growth, resilience, and transformation. Conversations with guests who have faced challenges, embraced change, and discovered new purpose along the way. Through their stories, you'll find inspiration, hope, and a reminder that every life has a story worth telling. Let's dive into this next Unspoken Life. Today's guest has a name you don't hear every day, Americle, a name that signifies a miracle, yet her life has been filled with hardship. From the moment she was born, she was fighting to survive. She's been through things most of us can't even imagine: abuse, loss, prison, and even a near-death experience. And yet she's here, not just surviving, but standing strong in her faith and purpose. I first met Americle while she was waitressing, and if you had asked me then, I would have never guessed the life she had lived. She was kind, full of energy, and carried herself like anyone else just going about their day. But later, when we sat down for coffee, she told me her full story. And let me tell you, it stuck with me. It's the kind of story that makes you stop and think about everything: faith, resilience, and why we go through the things we do. Americle, I know you've never shared your story, your full story, before. So in a way, this truly is an unspoken story we get to hear today. How are you feeling about sharing it?
I'm ready.
Good.
I'm more than ready.
Something I love about this podcast is that I get to see how people's stories unfold in ways they never could have expected. Your story, just from the outside looking in, is incredible. But before we get into it all, I want to start with something simple: your name. I couldn't believe your name when I heard it after I heard the things you went through. It carries such a powerful meaning. Do you know the story behind why you were given that name?
Yes, ma'am. So my biological parents, I don't consider my biological mother my mother. I have a mom who loves me and cares for me. I'm her own. However, my biological mother is an addict, and she's been fighting the addict problem for a long time. And when she gave birth to me, I was 4 months early. She was high. So I was a meth baby. I had methamphetamine in my system. But I was 4 pounds, 8 ounces, all glory to God, because wow, that's actually pretty good. I didn't have a name the first 7 days in the hospital, but my uncle came to visit me, and he told my dad, wow, she's a miracle. And that's how I got my name.
So it's from your uncle. That's great. Growing up, did you ever feel like your name was a reminder of something greater, or was it more of a weight, given everything you were going through?
Growing up, I'd say it was more of a weight. Like, I couldn't really figure out my name. When I was a young child, I didn't really like it because Miracle Whip and stuff like that became a thing. I didn't like that. But now it's like, wow.
Yeah. After everything you've been through, which we will get into.
Yes.
Was there ever a time where you felt like your name didn't match your reality?
In ways, like, I just seen myself as the woman I am right now. But at the time, with all the battles that were going on in my life, I'm like, I'm never going to be that. Like, I'm never going to have the money. I'm never going to have the clothes. I'm never going to have. So, like, why do I have such this extraordinary name?
Right. So you have this name, Americle. You were born early and in difficult circumstances. You mentioned it a little bit. Your mom was struggling with addiction. You mentioned to me before your dad was in prison. You're faced with all of this at such a young age. What do you remember most about those early years?
The early years, they were kind of traumatic. My biological mother, she needed her dose of high all the time, as me being a young girl and her only girl at that. She would kind of use me to pay for them drugs in numerous amount of ways. However, I don't necessarily get flashbacks on those memories or anything, but I do remember there was a one point in time in my life, I was 5 years old. I didn't talk for like 3 months. No words came out my mouth. And it was after a traumatic event, obviously. So like growing up, it was a lot. And then my dad was released from prison, and I was about to turn 6 years old. He fought really hard for a year and a half, and he won full custody of me by the grace of God.
Wow.
And I would go back and visit, but only to see my brothers.
Okay. So your dad fought for you. Do you feel like you got some of that fighting spirit in your life from him?
100%.
That's great. Now, you mentioned a traumatic experience. I don't want to dig in if you don't want to share. But if you do want to share, I know.
No, I don't mind at all.
Right.
Like, I obviously won't go into details, but she needed her high, and there's some bad men in this world. They wouldn't necessarily rape me. However, they would go in my room with me, and they'd sit there and maybe touch me, and I wouldn't want them to. And my brothers weren't able to come in the room, but they'd hear my screams and my cries.
At 5 years old.
I was just, yeah, I was just a young girl. And so that was like a big thing that like kind of like shaped me as a young girl. And then I was wearing like the same clothes to school in kindergarten. My brothers would have she would make them go to the Super Saver down the street, and she'd make them like steal the groceries and such. So that was a big thing. So stealing became something that we were supposed to do when we were young. However, that is breaking the law. But then a lot of us became accustomed to, we're going to just steal. If we want something, we can steal it. That's how we can get it.
So it almost normalized it?
We normalized it. Became a norm.
Okay. It's a lot to go through when you're 5 and 6.
Yes, but when my dad got custody of me at 6, that was one of the biggest blessings God had gave me. And then I was literally daddy's little girl, had everything. He made sure I had multiple shoes. I never even wore the same shoes in the same week. I had everything. So
I remember when we met for coffee, you mentioned one of the key moments that stood out to you when you lived with your dad was an attempted kidnapping. I've thought about it many times since we met. Can you share a little bit about that story?
Yes. So when I say like I had everything, I literally had everything as a young girl. My dad got me everything. So my dad loves to ride his motorcycle. So he bought me a mini moped to ride on the sidewalk while he's riding on the street. And I remember I made the turn, and it's like I was just there yesterday. However, I was like 7 years old, 8 years old. And I go around the corner, and there's this big van. And this guy opens it up, and he has candy, which is so funny because people make that as a joke, like, don't take candy from a stranger. However, the guy tried to use candy. He really tried to use candy as an effect. And then me, I grew up with all brothers, and my dad, he loves me, and my dad's going to protect me, you know? So it's like, oh, I know better. However, I started screaming, and the guy started coming over, but my dad came out of the house. And my dad chased that guy down. Well, by the grace of God, there was a girl in that car, that van. He got a girl, but the police got her back.
Oh, my gosh.
He got to return back home. Because of
your attempted kidnapping.
Because of my attempted kidnapping, it saved another girl from being taken away from her family.
And she was a young girl like you?
Yeah, really young. I don't know exactly how old she was. They did say she was a little bit older than me, but I was only 8 years old, so.
Which to that family, you were a miracle.
I was their miracle.
Which I can't even imagine kidnapping. So now you're living with your dad, the attempted kidnapping. How's everything else going with life at that moment?
At this point, like, life is so good. My dad has an amazing girlfriend at the time, and they're giving me kind of the childhood I've always wanted. And for a while, like, I blocked off all this stuff that has happened to me. I kind of forgot about it in a way. We never talked about it. I never went to counseling. I never got to, grieve through that.
Right.
But then, like, he has this girlfriend. They're giving me everything I need. Like, they're taking care of me. She loves me like I'm her daughter. Everything is, like, going pretty smooth. Like, everything's going great. I was in 3rd grade when we moved into my first house I've ever lived in. Gosh, I had the whole upstairs. I had a walk-in closet. My room was all Hannah Montana, plus cheetah print, of course. And, wow, I loved my room. I never wanted to come out of my room. And one day I went to school, normal. My dad's a CDL driver. He drives his truck. Well, usually his girlfriend picks me up after school. But our house is a block away, so some days I walk. But she'll let me know before school. Well, that day's like she barely talked to me that morning. And I didn't really think anything of it except for maybe she's going through something.
Right.
But I didn't really care, to be honest. So I went to school. Everything was normal. Well, they're like, Americle, you're going home. My dad would do that. When he came back, the first thing he'd do is he'd come get me. We'd go on a daddy-daughter date. So I go down there, and he's by the office. Usually he's smiling. And he was not smiling. He was angry. And I didn't know why, but I just walked over to him. I stayed quiet. And then he grabbed my hand, and we walked to his car. He didn't say anything the whole block down the road. When we get to the house, he's like, don't cry when you walk in. He's like, just go get your clothes. And I'm like, what do you mean don't cry when I walk in, Dad? And then he opened the door. Everything was gone. Everything.
From your house?
Everything. That was my dad's first time ever buying a couch in Love Sea. It's a nice one. That was our first time having anything. He even bought me a little computer. So when he's working on his computer, I'll have mine. That was gone. Everything was gone except for my clothes and my bed. But everything was gone. Like his master bedroom. I didn't understand. Like, what's going on? We just moved in here. We only lived there 3 months. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And his girlfriend found, while he was driving, she found another boyfriend, and she left him. Snap of the fingers, she took everything so that her and her boyfriend could have it in their house. That's, I think, when my dad kind of reached a breaking point. He got out of prison. He got his daughter. He's working so hard. He's doing everything. He loves his girlfriend. They're going to get married, we talk about all the time. And now it's like, okay, now what is he going to do? Well, he ended up having to leave that house, being that he can't have me there by myself, and he's a CDL driver. So we moved in with my biological mother's mom.
Okay.
For a little bit, my grandma. And at the time, my grandma wasn't using or anything. And My older brothers lived there, which I loved that. I get to be with my brothers again and my dad in the same house. Wow. I did love that. Was good for the first couple of days. And then my dad left for work. And then my grandma, I kind of started seeing like something was different about her. I couldn't put my finger on it though. She wasn't the same. She wasn't reading her Joyce Meyer books every day. She wasn't, usually she watches a sermon every morning and drinks her coffee, even pours me half a glass. She wasn't doing that. And I didn't know what was wrong. And the whole time she's my biological mother and a couple of her sisters got my grandma on drugs.
So it continued.
So it continued.
From when you were little and you kept running into it.
Yeah.
It sounds like, as I hear more of your story, that a lot of times, you know, the abuse you went through when you lived with your mom, you were taught to shut it out. You said you didn't talk for weeks or months. And then now with your grandma, you're not supposed to talk about it again. So it just seems like every experience you went through, you were told to not talk about it.
And not talk about it. And then that's what happens to a lot of people. They hold in all their emotions because they don't want to talk about it or something. They don't feel comfortable or they're disciplined if they do. Now you're telling the family's business. However, everybody has a breaking point. So now once I start lashing out and stuff, I'm crazy or something's wrong with me.
And yet here you are talking about it.
Here I am.
Which I'm very thankful for. Okay, so you're now living with your grandma. Your brothers are there. Life should be getting easier. Does it?
No. Unfortunately, I think that's when life actually kind of took the curve, like, okay, now we're going to go down a bad route. My dad, we did get in a little apartment. It was only a 1-bedroom apartment, so he stayed in the living room. I got the room. The time we didn't have nothing. We had my bed, but he didn't take down the headboard and stuff, so I only had the mattresses. And it was kind of like, okay, Dad, here we go again. We are restarting. I think that's why I'm so good with fresh starts. However, he wasn't himself. My dad wasn't himself. Now, mind you, when he got out of prison and got custody of me, he was sentenced to parole for 22 years.
Okay.
So he's on parole.
Right.
He doesn't do drugs. He barely drinks. However, now he's drinking. My dad's drinking every day. He's not angry at me or anything, though. And he's like telling me, Sissy, it's going to be all right. Like, everything's going to be okay. Dad's going to make it, you know. But he's drinking. And then when he gets to a certain point, it's like, okay, I'll go out in the living room. Now I'm like about probably like 12. No, I would say like 10. And now I'll like go in the living room like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go to bed, okay? And he'd say, okay, Sissy, good night, love you. But he'd be sitting there drinking, not staring at the TV, living room dark. He's sitting there.
Just alone.
In the dark, alone. And I'm in the room, and I would make my best out of everything. I had this bear, Bubba, and my Uncle Bubba's just named me. So my bear that my Uncle Bubba got me, I've had since I was a little girl, is Bubba. That's my protector, Bubba. And I would always like want to play house, and like I want to be the mom. So Bubba is my son.
Okay.
And I would just be in my room. Bubba's my son. I'm his mom. We're about to go to bed, lay down. I would tuck Bubba in before I lay down by Bubba. And I would hold Bubba like I was holding baby. I don't know. And kind of just waited on my dad to come and then check on me. He'll come in and eventually in the middle of the night, he'll always come in at my room. And he'll always give me a kiss on my forehead, tell me he loves me because he thinks I'm sleeping. I was never sleeping.
Moving on, comes a point when you no longer live at your dad's. How did you get there?
Yes.
What happened?
So when my dad started the drinking, he's probably, I guess I would say, started experimenting. And there's this drug that's known as K2.
Okay.
And it's kind of like marijuana. However, it won't show up in your system. And it's a lot worse than marijuana.
When you're on
parole. In my opinion. Yeah, especially on parole. However, in anyone's life, it doesn't matter if you're not on parole. That's bad.
Right.
It's frying your brain cells. Well, my brother, Tyrone, like, where were you just at? Nowhere, but he smells weird. I would never think I was with your dad. I would look at him like, So then I would go home. Mind you, I live right across the street from my aunt.
Okay.
So I go home to my dad, and my dad would be in his room, like eyes open, but staring at the ceiling. He's asleep, but his mouth open, drooling, making the biggest snort. Like you're doing something, but I didn't know yet. Well, when I was 14, almost 14, we're struggling, and I know I can work when I'm 14, and I'm like, I'm going to get a job. Everything's going to be okay. Well, an aunt of mine is the manager at a Dairy Queen.
Okay.
And she calls me, and then she had seen a post I made, and she called me to check on me, and I just let her know, like, I'm about to be 14 this summer. Like, I need to get a job. Well, Dairy Queen doesn't hire until 15. And all glory to God, my aunt got me a job there. I'm not even 14 yet, but I can start on my 14th birthday. So I'm so excited. And now I got to go tell my dad, in 3 months I'll be working. I can help,
You're excited.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Well, I come in to our apartment and I'm excited. He probably heard me. I'm going down the steps. I just remember I was filled with so much joy. I got a job. I'm going to start working right on my 14th birthday. I'm going to make money. We're going to be okay.
Right.
So I come inside and I'm so excited to talk to my dad. And I'm like, Dad, Dad. And out of nowhere, like he comes out of nowhere and he just grabs me. And I remember like he slammed me against the wall. My dad had never put his hands on me before, ever. I never got butt whoopings or nothing. But he'd be so sorry for all the times that I was hit and stuff when he wasn't there to save me.
Right.
So I think that's why his big thing was. And he grabs me and he like throws me against the wall. And then he's like, I know you were on that corner. Why were you on that corner? I was never on a corner. Like, I was never on a corner. Like, I got a job. I got a job. Dairy Queen. I was trying to tell him that, but I necessarily couldn't say it because he was choking me.
Right.
And I don't remember anything except for I wake up the next morning. I'm in my bed.
You were passed out.
I must have passed out sometime in between then. I have no idea. But I'm in my bed. I'm in my same clothes that I had on when I went to that talk with my aunt. Like, I look at my phone. Oh my goodness, it's 7:30. My ride picks me up for school at 7:45. And I'm not ready. I need a shower still.
And you don't even know.
So I jump up and I run to the bathroom and I see myself in the mirror. Golly, I'm like, there's big handprint on my neck.
Did you remember why it was there?
Yeah. Immediately I start crying. Now all I'm thinking is like, prostitute? Like he thinks I'm a prostitute? And I'm not even 14 yet. So then my ride calls. I haven't even gotten in the shower yet. So I'm getting ready to tell them like, hey, just go ahead without me. I'm going to walk to school. But I can't say that because now my dad's beeping it. If I miss his call, oh my gosh, that is something he did not like. If he calls me and I do not answer his call, you are going to be in trouble. He's not going to whoop me, but you're in trouble. I'm going to take your phone or something.
But you had just gone through the night before.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So I answer his phone. I just say, hello. And he's like, get outside right now. They're out there. And he said, you don't want to make me come back there. I'm like, what did I do? He said, we'll talk when I get home. Okay. So then I call my ride, like, hey, can you go ahead without me? But please tell your mom not to text my dad.
Right.
Her mom even said that. She's going to let my dad know that we got caught in the middle of an accident. So that's why I'm late to school. So she had my back. Then I walk out the house. I walk to school. Immediately when I get to the staircase to school, I'm just thinking, like, the police, like, if you have bruises on you and stuff, they are going to take you into the office and they are going to talk to you.
And you have police at your school. So you're nervous about this.
Yeah. So nervous. And I'm a freshman in high school.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay. So then I go into school and immediately the security guard, he says, Miracle. And I said, I know. He said, what happened? He said, I got into a fight at the park. He said, go into the office. And that's okay. So I go into the office. Now I'm just thinking, Miracle, what are you going to do?
Right.
I can do this, but if I do this, this is what's going to happen. I can do this, but this is what's going to happen. Okay. So then I didn't know what I was going to do. But I know I'm going to call my mom. My mom.
Right.
So I call my mom. And I let her know, like, something happened. I'll explain when you get here. So then she comes and gets me. I let her, like, crying in the car. She comes and gets me from the school. I'm crying, and I'm telling her I can't go back and live with him. I don't want him to go back to prison, though, but I cannot live with him. I cannot.
So you're protecting him. I'm
trying to protect my dad, but I'm also scared of him. Right. So it's, like, really hard. So then she's like, it's okay. You're going to stay with me. Well, like, I'm going to talk to him. Like, I'll talk to him, let him know you're going to stay with me. So don't call him and tell him I'm supposed to be at school. I ended up kind of just going through it that whole day. And I remember us sitting in the living room and she comes out and my dad's on the phone with her. And then she pretty much tells him, like, you guys need to be away from each other tonight. Like, we'll come talk tomorrow. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. He hangs up on her. And all of a sudden there's police and my dad at the door. She's just like looking at me. I'm looking at her like, Mom, help me.
Right.
And at the time, before she actually got to, like, be my mom legally, she was my TT.
Okay.
But she's my mom.
Right.
And she just tells, like, the police, like, okay, she will go. Can we just follow you? I will drive her. Can we just follow you? The cop said, that's okay. So when we get there, we pull up to the apartment. I'm scared to get out the car. I'm going to be in so much trouble. I just am going to be in trouble. Well, I get out the car, and immediately my dad storms over, and he snatches me up. Snatches me up. And then the lady officer kind of got him like, whoa. Like, I can only imagine if you snatch her like that in front of us, what you'll do inside.
Right.
And I took that as my cue, confirmation. I don't know at the time what I called it, but I ran. So now there's a cop chasing me.
Physically running.
Physically running. Now there's a cop. I don't know where I'm running to at all. If the sun's going down, it's pretty getting dark. There's a fence. I have to climb over that fence. I'm running to the fence. I know that fence is there because I grew up in Havelock.
Right.
I know every inch of this area. I know that fence. I'm going to get over that fence. I don't care. I'm going to get over it. I go up that fence so fast. I never climbed up something like that ever in my life. I'm running. I'm gone. And then I see this house. For some reason, I don't know what it was. I literally can't, I don't know. Something about this house. I can go there. On the door. The lady's looking at me. Are you okay? I said, yeah. Can I come in? Can I use your phone? She's like, yeah. I said, I just got to call my cousin. And what I do, I called my cousin. I let them know, like, hey, tell your mom I need you guys to come get me. I'm at this random person's house. They have cameras all around their house, and I don't think they want me here. Well, as I'm telling my aunt this on the phone, the lady's watching her camera footage, and there's a cop walking. This flashlight. She looks at me. I just look at her, and I don't know what to say to you.
Right.
So I'm sorry. I said, they're on their way. And then she's like, are you in trouble? I said, not with the police. I'm in trouble with my dad. And then she's like, what kind of trouble? I said, it's a long story. Can I just stay here until my aunt gets here, please? And she's like, should I go talk to them and let them? No, don't go out there and talk to them. Can you please not say I was here? She's like, okay. Please don't ever make this happen again. I will not. This will never happen again. So my cousin gets there. Now I'm on run.
Okay, so you're on the run. You were in school. Are you still going to school?
No.
You're just on the run. Where are you living?
Now I'm on the run. So I'm living kind of between houses. I'm
Okay.
at my aunt's house, but this is when I meet kind of my tribe. Some are not good and I don't talk to them no more, but some I love at the bottom of my heart and I'll forever love. Now I'm like always the only girl with them. However, like one of the guys I consider my brother, he has sisters that live there too. Well, his mom, his sisters, they all live in this house. So sometimes I'm staying the night there.
Okay.
Well, one night his mom comes out of the room and she's like, Miracle, let me talk to you real quick. I said, okay. Yes, ma'am. And I go in her room. She said, talk to me. She said, something's going on. I said, what do you mean? She said, what grade are you in? And I said, I'm almost in 10th grade. She said, okay, so you're almost in 10th grade. You stay here on school days throughout the whole day with Bam and Key, who are adults.
Okay.
You're staying with them throughout the day. You're not going to school. And you're always wearing my son's clothes, which isn't a problem, but
I don't understand.
She's like, what's going on? Okay. I said, in all honesty, I'm on the run. She said, okay, what does that mean exactly? And I explained everything. I'm on run. This is what's happening. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but I promise I'm not going to be on run forever. I'm going to go back. I just can't go back to my dad's.
Mm-hmm.
So then now I'm on run and I'm with the boys all the time and life is lifing for sure. I'm stealing in order to eat. We go to the mall sometimes and I'll steal myself a couple outfits.
Which you were taught at a young age.
I was taught at a young age to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm way too, I shouldn't be as good at it as I am.
Right.
I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. Well, now people are seeing that like, oh, wow, Miracle, you go in the mall and you steal that. Well, if you want to make some money, if you steal me this, I'll pay you this. Okay, so now I'm on the run. I have nothing. Okay, what do you want from there? Well, I want this Ralph Lauren jumpsuit. Okay, so I'm going to go in there and get you the Ralph Lauren jumpsuit. And you're going to pay me $70. Okay. And I would do that. And that became a thing. And I was doing it. And then on top of that, like, this is kind of, quote unquote, when I jumped off the porch. Okay. That being said is when, like, I kind of got myself involved in things I had no business in.
Got it.
So now I'm smoking weed. At one point in time, my brothers would smoke weed and I would let them know, like, why are you doing this? Like, that's killing you. Like, why are you doing this? Now I'm smoking the weed and now I understand why my brothers were doing it. Mm-hmm. Now I wish I would have been smoking with my brothers a long time ago.
Right.
I'm like, gosh, it would have been good at 11 if I was just in there smoking. I wouldn't have been crying.
Right.
I would have been numb.
Yep.
I'm numbing the pain.
Masking it.
But now I'm drinking. Now I'm getting drunk all the time. And now bad stuff is happening. We, for some reason, the guys and me that I'm always with, they became a thing. They made up this thing. They're really good at making up things. Well, it became NSM. And that was Northside Mob. And I was so big on promoting NSM.
Uh-huh.
Like NSM, my brothers, like I was so big on that for whatever God-given reason. And but now NSM is having some problems with a Mexican gang known as the Winos. So now it's like every night one of the guys is fighting and then it ends up being a big brawl. And now we're at a park and we're fighting at a park. and life is not good. We're having this beef with a gang, and we're not really a gang. We're literally just a group of young individuals who really all had a rough start to life and who made a family out of each other. We just love each other, we care for each other, and we have each other's back. But we're not promoting that in the right way.
Right.
We're not standing on business in the right way. We have so much potential. And now I'm only imagining, like, if life didn't go that way,
Right.
if we would have actually had our mindset on our faith and how we're going to get through this, we one heck of a team.
Do you think other people saw it as a gang?
Yeah, 100%.
But that was never your intention or what you were trying to do.
No, Northside Mob, like it's kind of like a last name in a way. Like, they're just my family.
Right.
And I have attachment issues. So once I get close with people, I'm close with them. I'm so close with them.
Right. Loyal.
I'll do anything for you. I'll do anything. Like, that's just who I am. And I'll always be that person to a certain extent.
Right.
But NSM became a thing. And then now we're just a group of young adults with, like, not young adults, young children, really teenagers who think we're adults and took matters into our own hands in a way to survive.
You're still on the run, not going back to school. Did you end up going back to school at some point? How did you get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one night we got into this really big fight with the winos. It was really bad. We were outside of a place. Well, it ended up being that, like, that place kind of got destroyed because of us, because of all the fighting going on. It wasn't good. The next day, me and my cousin wake up. Well, my cousin's also on the run, but in a different way, because he's not running from his mom. His mom actually knows he's on the run. He's running from the state, so he's already in trouble with the state.
Okay.
Well, the state wants him. So we're in the car with his mom. She's driving us. We're about to go get something to eat. And I'm in his clothes. When we're driving. And then all of a sudden, like, she's pulling over to the side. We don't understand. And my cousin turns around and looks. He's like, Mom, no. She said, I'm sorry. No, there's police. And the police come to both sides of the door. They say our names. They knew we were in the car.
Right.
I just get out the car. I look at him. And then he said, you're going to be okay. I remember, like, you're going to be okay. I said, but are you? He said, everything will be fine. And I just looked at him. And I just look at him like, I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry. So I start crying. The police put me in their car. And then the cop and me get in the car. I don't know what happened with him, but me. The cop starts driving. I said, I'm not going to jail. And he's like, you didn't do anything to go to jail. He said, you're going back to your dad. I said, but I can't. I said, I can't. He's like, well, why not? He said, is there something you're not telling us? Well, no, you guys know everything. He's just not really a good dad right now, and he doesn't need me at his house. Okay, honey, well, you're going to your dad. I said, okay. Well, I'm not going to my dad. And he said, you are. I'm going to take you right there. So I just stayed quiet the rest of the car ride. I'm crying in the backseat of a cop car. I'm sitting in the backseat of a cop car like, why am I back here? This is not for me. I do not like this. So we get to my dad's house. They get a hold of my dad eventually. He's out of state. He drives a truck.
Right.
I said, I could have told you that. And he's like, okay. He said, you know where the key is? Nope, I don't know. And he said, okay, well, he told him where the key is. He's like, come on. So the cop walks me up there, everything, lifts up the rug. There's a key. He opens the key and he lets me into my house. I'm just looking at him. And the cop's like, I know you're probably going to leave. I said, yeah, but this time I'll have clothes. And he's like, please don't. I said, okay. And the cop went about his business. I got my clothes, packed up one backpack. I didn't have no other bags. I remember I was like, where's all the bags? Like, why don't I have bags? I didn't even know I had this many clothes, but I need a few outfits. And I'm packing my clothes. And then I go in the kitchen. Well, in my opinion, my dad is getting food stamps because I'm his kid and he just got custody. So he's getting food stamps. So in my opinion, this is my food because you only get the food stamps because of me. And we're hungry. So I got more food than I got clothes. That's when I knew I really messed up. I got literally more food. I had like 3 bags of groceries. And then I had my one backpack. And I start walking. I was walking. Well, randomly, one of my older brothers, one of his good best friends, is driving past. Well, he stops on his brake. I said, oh, wow, look at God. I get in his car. He's like, what are you doing with all that? I said, I need you to take me somewhere real quick. And then he's like, where? I said, just down the street. It wasn't really down the street. It was probably like a 20-minute drive. And then he's like, whose house is this? I said, this is my cousin's, but don't tell nobody you dropped me off here and don't tell nobody you brought me here. He's like, Americle, what do you got going on? Nothing. And then he's like, okay, I love you, kid. I said, I love you. And I got out of his car. Now I'm back at my brother's house, that I consider my brother.
Right.
I knock on his mom's door, and his mom said, I said, yeah, long story. I said, we'll talk inside, but I brought groceries. I brought groceries. She's like just smiling at me, but you can kind of just see that she feels bad.
Right.
So then she doesn't bring up the conversation until I was ready. Then I just let her know like what happened, and the cop took me home, and then he said he knew I was going to leave. So in my opinion, he shouldn't have left me there. I left.
Right.
So now I'm back on run again. The friend of theirs, he's like, Americle, come with me. So we go downstairs, and he's like, if you need anything and you want to talk ever, like you can talk to me. He said, you're acting happy, but you're not happy. And I'm like, I'm happy. So you make me really happy. I've never flirted a day in my life. Gosh, I've never even had a first kiss. And then he's just like smiling at me, and we're smiling at each other. Well, long story short, now my virginity's taken by my brother, by my cousin's best friend. So we go upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I clean myself up, and I can't believe I just did this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and it did not feel good. And I'm like, We go upstairs. When we go upstairs, my brothers people are disgusted in me. Like,
they know
what I did. And they're disgusted in me that I did it with him, being that he's been with so many females and he's going to be with someone else tomorrow, Americle. And it's like, okay.
Only mad at you, though?
Only mad at me. No, I don't know what they said to him without me right there, but right in my face, they're only mad at me. They didn't even say nothing to him. He's just smiling and smirking because he knows what he did.
Right.
They don't like that, though. Any other time, like, they're going to probably dap him up for it. Like,
right.
Good job, but not good job on this one.
No.
Well, then, like, a bunch of stuff ends up happening, and now I'm staying between my cousin's house, my brother's house, and now this man's house.
Okay.
Now I'm like in between all of their homes. Life kind of got really bad from there. Now we're drinking, we're smoking weed, popping pills sometimes. Mm-hmm. And now we're putting our hands on each other. One night, he kind of just, everybody knows I don't want to be grabbed by my neck, but everybody knows, like, that's why I left my dad. Like, he did that to me, Things went left, and he didn't just put his hands on me. I put my hands on him, too. But when he grabbed me by my neck and he was just choking me, and then, like, that's when I just wanted to die. That's my first ever, I need to die. So he finally let go of me and said that, like, the only reason why I have a home is him, blah, 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 blah. I can get my stuff and leave. Oh, I'm going to. And there's a big bottle of Benadryl, and the big bottle of Benadryl is sitting right there on the desk, on his dresser. And I grabbed the big bottle of Benadryl, took almost half the bottle of Benadryl right in front of him. And he just was smiling.
In front of him?
Right in front of his face.
So he knew.
I grabbed it and just right in front of him. He's just smiling at me, and that's when I almost lost it. I grabbed my bags, grabbed everything, and I walked over to the park. So we ended up sleeping at that park a couple nights.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, it's nighttime. Like, if anything, I'll sleep there, and then I'll go get to my cousin or brother's house eventually. So then I was there when I went to sleep. When I opened my eyes, I'm in the hospital. I'm not there no more.
And what did you learn?
I learned that I was pregnant.
Thanks so much for listening to part 1 of my conversation with Americle. Her story is already so powerful, and in part 2, she opens up even more about the moments that shaped her life. Before we wrap up, here's a little glimpse of what's coming in part 2.
I'm dead. I don't have no pulse. I'm dead in my car.
That's it for this episode of Unspoken Lives. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or made you reflect on your own journey, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next powerful conversation. I'm always on the lookout for new guests. If you know someone with a story that deserves to be shared, I'd love to hear from you. Check the show notes for contact details and make sure to follow along on social media at Unspoken Lives Podcast. Until next time, keep listening, keep sharing, and remember, every life has a story worth telling.